Hello students, this is your economics teacher INR. I hope you are well and utilizing the time wisely.
In the previous class, you learned about quantity theories of money, meaning of inflation and its types. Today, you are going to learn about causes and effects of inflation, meaning of deflation, disinflation and stagflation, and the third cycle and its causes. Please watch this video very carefully till the end. I am going to ask you a few questions from previous class. Question number 1. Write the types of inflation. Question number 2. List out the approaches of quantity theories of money. Question number 3. Who has propounded the quantity theory of money? Okay, answer for the question. Question number 1. Write the types of inflation. There are 4 types of inflation. 1. Creeping inflation. 2nd. Walking inflation. 3rd. Running inflation. And 4th. Galloping inflation. Question number 2. List out the approach of quantity theories of money. There are 2 approaches of quantity theories of money. First, Fisher's transaction approach and Cambridge cash balance approach. Question number 3. Who has propounded the quantity theory of money? Professor Dhawan Shetty. Okay. Let us enter into the topics. First, we will discuss causes and effects of inflation. Students, take the page number 86. Generally, during war and in the post-war period, there will be inflation. This is so because during war, the income of people increase. But there will be shortage of goods and there may be rationing, control and things like that. So during the post-war year, people who have been forced to save money will spend. That is, demand for all sort of goods will increase during that period, but supply will not increase so fast as that. This leads to inflation. Inflation occurs during war because the one great aim at the time is that of winning the war. Since modern wars are so expensive, the government has to depend upon created money to finance war. This leads to inflation, and inflation breeds inflation. It means that inflation leads to inflation. During a period of inflation, prices will be high. Since prices are high, workers will demand high wages. High wages resulted is high cost. High cost in turn led to high prices. Thus it forms a vicious circle. Wages force up prices. Prices force up wages. This is the inflationary spiral. Deficit financing is another cause of inflation. This applies particularly to underdeveloped countries with the planned economies. Inflationary trend can be noticed also during the boom period of a third cycle. The main cause of inflation in India are as follows. First, increase in money supply. Inflation is caused by an increase in the supply of money, which leads to increase in aggregate demand. The higher the growth rate of the nominal money supply, the higher is the rate of inflation. Second, increase in disposable income. When the disposable income of the people increases, it raises their demand for goods and services. Disposable income may increase with the rise in national income or reduction in taxes or reduction in the savings of the people. Third, increase in the public expenditure. Government activities has been expanding due to developmental activities and the social welfare program. This is also a cause for price rise. Fourth, increase in consumer spending. The demand for goods and services increases when they are given credit to buy goods on higher purchase and installment basis. Next, cheap money policy. Cheap money denotes a pause in which loans are available at low rate of interest or a policy which creates this situation. Cheap money policy is followed by a central bank during a period of depression to increase the supply of money so as to stimulate investment. Here, Cheap money policy or the policy of greedy expansion also leads to increase in the money supply, which raises the demand for goods and services in the economy. Sixth, deficit financing. Public expenditure of modern government is much more greater than their revenue. To finance this known as budget deficit, government must borrow from the public as well as from the central bank. Borrowing from the central bank is inflationary because the bank resorts to printing more currencies to finance the budget deficit. Sudden influx of currency money without accompanying increase in production results in price rise. This is known as deficit-induced inflation. Here, in order to meet its mounting expenses, the government resorts to deficit financing by borrowing from the public and even by printing more notes. This raises aggregate demand in relation to aggregate supply, thereby leading to inflationary rises in prices. Block assets, activities and money. The existence of block money and block assets due to corruption, tax evasion, etc. increase the aggregate demand. People spend such money lavishly. Black marketing and hoardings reduces the supply of goods. These trends tend to raise the price level further. Repayment of public debt. Whenever the government repays its past internal debt to the public, it leads to increase in the money supply with the public. This tends to raise the aggregate demand for goods and services. Last one, increase in exports. When exports are encouraged, domestic supply of goods declines, so price rise. Next, you are going to learn about effects of inflation. The effects of inflation can be classified into two heads. First, effects on production, and the second one is effects on distribution. First, effects on production. If prices are rising, it will stimulate production. Under a capitalist system, production is carried on mainly for profits. During a period of rising prices or inflation, there will be abnormal profit. This increases production, so manufacturers and businessmen gain during inflation. Producer and businessman gain during inflation. Producer gain by inflation because during that period, prices rise faster than cost. So they make huge profits. But if inflation becomes hyperinflation, it may end in a crash. On account of the rapid fall in the value of money, profits which are in the form of money may become worthless. And there will be a flight from currency. Inflation may become an important cause of violent revolutions and economic sohas. In a period of falling prices, businessmen incur huge losses because prices fall faster than cost, and there will be little scope for investment. This results in unemployment on large scale. There will be businessman depression. During depression, money may be cheaply available. Prices or material will be low. Men will be available for work, but there will be no investment, no employment, no incomes, and no demand for goods. Such a situation has been described as poverty in the midst of plenty. The Great Depressions of 1930s is a case in point. Here, when the inflation is very moderate, it acts as an incentive to traders and producers. This is particularly prior to full employment when resources are not fully utilized. The profits due to rising prices encourages and induce business class to increase their investment in production, leading to generations of employment and income. There are some important topics of effects of production. First one, however, hyperinflation results in a serious depreciation of the value of money, and it discourages savings on the part of the public. Second, when the value of money undergoes considerable depreciation, this may even drain out the foreign capital already invested in the country. Third, with reduced capital accumulation, the investment will suffer a serious setback which may have an adverse effect on the volume of production in the country. This may discourage entrepreneur and businessmen from taking business risk. Fourth, Inflation also leads to hoardings of essential goods both by the traders as well as the consumer, and thus leading to still higher inflation rate. Fifth, inflation encourages investment in speculative activities rather than productive purpose. Second, effects of inflation, effects on distribution. First, debtors and creditors. During inflation, debtors are the gainers while the creditors are loser. The reason is that the debtors who had borrowed when the purchasing power of money was high and now repay their loans when the purchasing power of money is low due to rising prices. Next, fixed income groups. People in fixed income groups are hit hard in times of inflation. The income of wage earners and salaried people such as teachers, clerks and judges do not increase as fast as price. Even retired people getting pension are also affected during inflation. Here, the fixed income groups are the worst hit during inflation because their income being fixed do not bear any relationship with the rising cost of living. Examples are wage, salary, pension, interest, rent and etc. Third, entrepreneurs. During inflation, entrepreneur or manufacturers and businessmen make huge profits. Of course, during deflation, they make losses. On the other words, inflation is the boom to the entrepreneur, whether they are manufacturers, traders, merchants, or businessmen, because it serves as a tonic for business enterprises. They experience windfall gains as the prices of their inventories, stocks, or suddenly go up. Fourth, investors. People who have invested their money in gilt-edged securities, that is, government securities, will get only fixed income. So their positions is like those in the fixed income groups, but those who have shares in companies will make profits during a period of rising prices and lose during a period of falling prices. In Germany, thousands of middle-class families were ruined or crushed during the inflation because all their lifetime savings were reduced to nothing by the tremendous rise in prices. If the value of money falls continuously, it becomes unsuitable as a store of value. People will not save at all. Here, the investors who generally invest in fixed interest yielding bonds and securities have much to lose during inflation. On the contrary, those who invest in shares stand to gain by rich dividends and appreciation in value of shares. Next, you are going to learn about measures to control inflation. Keynes and Milton Friedman together suggested 3 measures to prevent and control of inflation. First measure, monetary measure. Second, fiscal measures. Third, other measures. First, monetary measures. These measures are adopted by the central bank of the country. There are increase in bank rate, sales of government securities in the open market, higher cash reserve ratio, statutory liquidity ratio, consumer credit control, higher margin requirements, higher repo rate and reserve repo rate. Second, fiscal measures. Fiscal policy is now recognized as an important instrument to tackle an inflationary situation. The major anti-inflationary fiscal measures are the following: reductions of government expenditure, public borrowing, and enhancing tax action. Other measures. These measures can be divided broadly into short-term and long-term measures. Short-term measures can be regard to public distribution of scarce essential commodities through fair price shops or rationing. In India, whenever shortage of basic goods has been felt, the government has restored to import so that inflation may not get triggered or stimulated. Long-term measures will require accelerating economic growth, especially of the wage goods, which have a direct bearing on the general price level and the cost of living. Some restriction on present consumption may help in improving savings and investment, which may be necessary for accelerating the rate of economic growth in the long run. Next, we will discuss meaning of deflation, disinflation and stagflation. Deflation. Crowther defines deflation as a state in which the value of money is rising, that is, prices are falling. Both inflation and deflation refers to the movement of prices. Deflation is the opposite of inflation. Generally, inflation is a period characterized by rising activity and employment, but during deflation, there will be a bad trade and unemployment. During deflation, since price fall faster than cost, there will be heavy losses for producer and businessman. There will not be profits in any branch of economic activity, so there will be a fall in investment. This result in unemployment. Both inflation and deflation are evils. Here, the essential features of deflation is falling price, reduced money supply and unemployment. The falling price are desirable at the time of inflation. Such a fall should not lead to fall in the level of production and employment. But if price falls from the level of full employment, both income and employment will be adversely affected. Next, disinflation. Disinflation is the slowing down the rate of inflation by controlling the amount of credit available to consumer without causing more unemployment. Disinflation may be declined as the process of revising inflation without creating unemployment or reducing output in the country. Next, stagflation. Stagflation is a combination of stagnant economic growth, high unemployment and high inflation. Lastly, we will discuss trade cycle. The economic activity in a capitalist economy will have its periodic ups and downs. The study of these ups and downs is called the study of business cycle or trade cycle or industrial fluctuations. Meaning of trade cycle. A trade cycle refers to oscillations in aggregate economic activity, particularly in employment, output, income, etc. It is due to the inherent contraction and expansion of the elements which energize the economic activities of the nation. The fluctuations are periodical, differing in intensity and changing in its coverage. Definition of a trade cycle. A trade cycle is composed of period of goods trade characteristics by rising prices and low unemployment percentages altering with periods of bad trade characteristics by falling prices and high unemployment percentage. This definition was given by Mr. J.M. Keynes. Next topic, phases of trade cycle. The four important phases of trade cycle is refers to as boom, recession, depression and recovery. These are illustrated in the figure 5.3. First, boom or prosperity phase. The full employment and the movement of economy beyond full employment is characteristic as boom period. During this period, there is a hectic or frantic activity in economy. Money wages rises, profits increases and interest rates goes up. The demand for bank credit increases and there is all-round optimism. Second, recessions. The turning point from boom condition is called recession. This happened at higher rate than what was earlier. Generally, the failure of a company or a bank burst or ruptures the boom and brings a pause of recessions. Investment are drastically reduced. Production comes down and income and profits decline. There is a panic in the stock market and business activities show signs of dullness. Liquidity preference of the people rises and money market becomes tight. Third, depression. During depression, the level of economic activity becomes extremely low. Firms incur losses and closure of business becomes a common future and the ultimate result in unemployment, interest prices, profits and wages are low. The agricultural class and wage earners would be worst hit. Banking institution will be reluctant to advance loans to businessmen. Depression is the worst phases of the business cycle. Extreme points of depression is called as trough because it is a deep point in business cycle. Any person fell down in deeps would not come out from that without others' help. Similarly, an economy fell down in a trough would not come out from this without external help. last recovery. After a period of depression, recovery set in. This is the turning point from depression to revival towards upswings. It begins with the revival of demand for capital goods. Autonomous investment boosts the activity. The demand slowly picks up and in due course the activity is directed towards the upswing with more production, profits, income, wages and employment. Recovery may be initiated by innovation or investment or by government expenditure. That's all for today. We will continue in the next class. Finish the assignment by clicking the link below.